Pretty soon. Here we go. I will call to order the March 31st Sun Lakes HOA number 2 Board of Directors meeting. I would like to ask all of you in attendance today to please turn off your mobile phones or put them in a silent mode. Thank you. This meeting is being recorded for the accuracy of the minutes. The agenda for today's meeting was set at our agenda planning meeting last week. We have a live streaming audience. Board meetings are now offered to homeowners that are watching live streaming the opportunity to ask questions, address concerns. At the end of the meeting, there is also homeowners' comments. The live streaming audience will have a few minutes to send questions or comments by email to boardmeeting@sunlakes2.com. When sending in your questions or comments by email, you must put your full name and whether you're located in Cottonwood or Palo Verde. Board members will then be asked if they have questions or comments after the item is read into the agenda. Homeowners will have an opportunity in the audience to ask a question. It will also, the email comments will be addressed because Steve Nolan has a laptop with him and we can address those minutes. So no board vote will go until all are heard. I want to start off today with a pledge of allegiance, and I understand, Hank, that Bud Jensen will lead it today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd now like to start off with the live streaming audience at home and have the board members and the general managers introduce themselves. Today I will start with Irene D'Alicio.
Irene D'Alicio, Director.
Don Hicks, Director.
Frank Gould, Treasurer.
Roger Beagle, President.
Bud Jensen, Director. Steve Nolan, General Manager.
Okay. We need to grab your mic someplace. There you go. Thanks, Marshall. Great. Board members and audience, I need to make a couple of changes to today's agenda. Item number 10 is shown in the board meeting as director's comments. This will be moved to the annual meeting. It will not be made at this meeting. Board members, are there any other suggested changes to be made to today's agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that we remove item 17A from first readings and move that to new business to be voted on today.
Board members, are there any questions that you have? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah. A quick explanation, the reason we're moving that up and not leaving it into first reading is we need to get moving on these project lists. And so we don't want to put it in first reading. Okay, next on the agenda is to approve the February 24th board meeting minutes. These have been distributed to the board members. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing no corrections, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and those opposed say nay. The February 24th board minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is the president's message that is moved to the annual meeting. Next, we have Employee of the Month, Kathy Bernard. Kathy has worked for Cottonwood Palo Verde since October 3rd, 2015 in the patrol department. From her first day at work, Kathy demonstrated the ability to work independently, taking on special assignments. She is always ready, willing to accept additional work. You can see her directing traffic, maintaining a closed area, handles and resolves situations in a friendly and professional manner. She is approachable, she is friendly, and always willing to talk to homeowners, residents, and guests. We are so glad she chose Cottonwood Palo Verde Patrol Team. She is a bright star who sets a good example for everyone to follow. Thank you, Kathy. Your continued enthusiasm and attitude are very much appreciated by your fellow employees, your manager, and our community. You are well deserving of the Employee of the Month recognition and congratulations.
Okay, stand up, so.
I should have been sure. Thank you very much. Okay, this is a reminder for those that are listening in the live streaming audience to send your questions and comments by email to boardmeeting@sunlakes2.com. When sending in your questions or comments, your email, you must have a full name and whether you're located in Cottonwood or Palo Verde. Now we're going to have play mic switch here for a second, so Frank gets the other.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
The financial report is on the last page of the agenda. This report contains the financial results for the month of February and year to date. Additionally, this report shows the balances of our various funds and any monthly activity impacting those balances. As with previous reports, we are focusing on two columns contained in this summary report: the year-to-date actual and the year-to-date variance, which is the difference between actual results and what was budgeted. And I'll be rounding the dollar amounts to the nearest thousand. In the area of homeowner services, year-to-date actual net is a positive 205,000, which is 87,000 better than budget. Food and beverage, year-to-date actual net is a positive 13,000, which is 3,000 better than budget. Golf, year-to-date actual net is 89,000, which is 34,000 better than budget. Overall, the association year-to-date actual net is 306,306, which is 124,000 better than budget. Through 2 months, we are doing fine, and there are no concerns at this time. The Palo Verde Gate Fund, year-to-date net is a positive $1,963, which is $1,965 better than budget. The special funds, the balances are shown in our year-to-date figures. As you can see, our funds are very healthy. Number of holdings sold year-to-date is 57. This results in revenue from these sales of $86,000, which will be added to the capital improvement fund. A copy of the report is available in the administration building tomorrow morning, and if you would, call for an appointment if you would like a copy. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Frank. Board members, may I have a motion and a second to accept the pre-audited financial report?
Second.
All those in, excuse me, Steve, is there anybody that send an email in with it? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye. And those opposed say nay. The pre-audit report is accepted by the board. Thank you, Frank. Committee reports. Today, we're going to start with the Architectural Compliance Committee, Bud Jensen.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Summary of the activities from February 23rd through March 30th, 2021. As of March 30th, permits approved were 202. Permits denied was 1. Permits 2 weeks or more past due, requiring follow-up was 0 right now. Recommended action items for the board of directors. First one, recommendation made by Janet Kutzmitter and seconded by Kathleen Gold. First reading, tab 7, page 13 and 14 of the ACC guidelines. It's about the garage doors. They now are required, they have the same trim as the garage door. Well, the revised that we're recommending is the natural board grade carriage door are accepted. Painting of the trim on the house to match will not be needed. And then we have garage door, carports, and golf cart enclosures, tab 8, page 18, number 21, item D. It says right now that we also have to match the trim to the garage doors. And our recommendation is the natural wood grain carriage doors are exceptions. Painting of the trim of the house will not be needed. There are so many up there right now that are already in that do not match the trim, so we decided to change that. I recommend that. And now Kathleen Volz, this is tab number 9, made a motion, seconded by Maria Cicero. It was tab 9, board policy 10-1, unless otherwise stated in the committee charter, full term appointment shall be 2 years. Items shall be staggered, such as that approximately 1/2 of the committee's appointments expire at the end of each annual year. We are recommending these 2 people and the committee, with the exception of the Architecture Compliance Committee term, which is 3 years. We're recommending that to the board. That's all I have to say, Roger. Any questions from the audience?
Next month's meeting? Bud,
Pardon?
next month's meeting?
Oh, next month's meeting will be, it's 13th, second Tuesday.
Very good. Thank you, Bud. Audit and Finance Committee, Max Brittingham. When you finish your audit and finance, you can go right into golf if you would like to.
Thank you. The Audit and Finance Committee met March 4th. We discussed the end of year 2020 financial report with the controller. We talked with Treasurer Gould about some projects we're thinking about doing. There will be several things on our agenda this next meeting, which is tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the Phoenix room. We have nothing now that we're issues that require board approval or management attention. Questions?
Thank you, Max. You okay?
So the golf committee met on March 3rd. We had some discussions about returning to normal play after the pandemic, which will finalize those discussions and probably a recommendation next week on the 7th. That meeting is at 2 p.m. in the Phoenix room. on the 7th. We had some discussions about your around Twilight Play Cottonwood, which would be on the agenda as well for some discussion and possibly a recommendation. The recommended to the board for approval, Diane French is the Palo Verde Ladies Association representative of the Golf Committee, and also Betty Buchanan is the Cottonwood Lake United representative of the Golf Committee. There were no issues this time regarding management attention. That's meeting, as I said already, is April 7th at 2 p.m. in the Phoenix Room. Questions?
Thank you, Matt, for both reports. Communications Committee, Dave Hosevar.
Click your right.
Good afternoon, members of the board of directors, staff, homeowners, and those listening online. The Communications Committee held their meeting on March 1st, 9 a.m. in the Phoenix Room for the inaugural meeting for 2021 of all the committees. There were 11 in attendance, 5 of the 6 communication members were present, and we had a quorum. Board Liaison Gage Waskey, Administrative Manager Patty Johnson, and 2 applicants, Bill Carpenter, Ricky O'Keefe, and homeowner Bob Newark were present. There were summary of the meeting were there were 11 reports shared by the directors, by the members, and they can be read by. They're available by looking at our complete minutes as seen on cottonwoodpalaverty.com website. Issues requiring board approval. We nominated Bill Carpenter, Ricky O'Keefe, submitted to the board of directors for approval. And issues requiring management approval or none. Our next meeting will be April 5th at 9 a.m. in the Phoenix Room. Are there any questions?
Dave, I understand, thank you for the report, as I understand you're gonna do food and beverage also.
Yes, Mr.
Do you
Carlson.
want to do that right now?
Sure, I can do that then. That meeting was held on March 4th in the Phoenix Room. There was a quorum with members present, and it was chaired by Bob Carlson. There were 3 homeowners, guests present. Board liaison was present. She gave an update with unusual capital reserve replacement items. I do want to, probably the main item was on her report was to congratulate Mr. Steve Nolan on his 15 years of excellent service. And Marshall Reichard gave reported on long-term and short-term goals. And it was a very heartwarming presentation on what he did with the staff over the last 12 months, and how he had to, the sun is right in our eyes here. But Marshall did a great job. I wish we would have recorded it because it was just a great presentation, and a big shout out, congratulations to Marshall, what he did with his staff. So, and how he worked with them and how they worked with him. And I think us, the homeowners, owe Marshall a great, great tribute to him. So there's no issues for management or for the board. Our next meeting is tomorrow, April 1st, in the Phoenix Room. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dave, appreciate it. Next, we have the election committee, Ryan Sprouts.
Good afternoon, I am not Brian Sprouse. My name is Yvonne Orr, Joint Secretary, and duties in Brian's absence. The election committee met on March 4th with a full quorum present. The details of the meet the candidate event were finalized for the Palo Verde patio on the 10th of March. Both events were subsequently successfully completed. Congratulations to the successful candidates. Our next committee meeting will not be on April 1st, but has been postponed until September because we have completed whatever business was necessary for the election committee at this point. If there are any questions about the topic of electronic voting opportunities, please say that I'm supposed to say that Brian has set up a committee within our committee to look into that. And if you have any further questions, please contact Brian. Any questions? Thank you.
I have no questions, but I want to congratulate your committee on a very well run, instead of a candidate's night, a candidate's afternoon, and it worked out very well.
Thank you, I'll pass that on.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us up to recreation. That is a committee that is not meeting, but I do have an announcement. If you have not received your emails this afternoon, you're getting the shows back this summer. So, I guess I'm not supposed to say that. Do I need this?
You skipped one.
Oh, I checked you off. Sorry, Dave. That's serious. Facilities and grounds is done. I apologize, John. I checked you off. I did.
Lined up. The Facilities and Grounds Committee met on March 3rd to the 4th with Mr. Bob Mueller in attendance. The committee heard reports from the board liaison, managers, Jim Miller, and Scott Anderson. The committee received a homeowner proposal from Mr. Bob Miller. The proposal was passed to the board liaison, and the board liaison shared that proposal with the balance of the board, and we are taking it under consideration. There's no recommendations for management. There's one recommendation to the board, and we discussed that briefly at the beginning of the meeting. We moved that recommendation from first readings to new business. And that is to recommend the board accept and or adopt, whichever word is better to use for the board, the revised 2021 capital project list. The next meeting is Tuesday, April 6th at 10 a.m. in the Phoenix Room. Any questions? Thank you.
No question, but I'm really sorry that I skipped you. I did have your name written down. Just,
Skipping's all right, we'll line it through.
oh, that's right, I did not line it. I used checkbooks. But anyway, now we're down to Safety, Security, and Access Committee. Dan Hoffman.
Very good. The Safety and Security Committee met on March 3rd at 9 a.m. in the Phoenix. All members were present. We had a forum. Board liaison was also present. One former as a guest. Organizational issues were discussed and adopted. There were no issues from management. There were no issues from the board at this time. Next meeting, the Safety and Security Committee will be on April 7th at 9:30. Which is the news on the person in the future. Any questions, comments?
Thank you, Dan. Steve, have we received any emails in reference to the committee reports? Okay, I want to say something here. I would like to say thank you to all the committees. As a board member, it is great to see all of you and hear the information that's going on in your meetings. Please express the board's appreciation to all of your committee members. You were and truly are missed in this last year. Next, we have project reports. Steve Nolan.
Yes, we've done 3 new pickleball courts. The fencing was recently installed. There's a few minor items they're working on the fencing. Next will be the completion of the finished concrete along some of the edges, and then we have the electrical work with the lights, and then the final court surface is scheduled to be completed by May 1st.
Boy, that's right away. Very good, thank you. Management report and director's comments are both moved to the annual meeting. Before we get into the next item on the agenda, this is a reminder of those listening on live streaming. You can send your email questions in. Remember to sign your full name and where you're located, Cottonwood or Palo Verde. Next on the agenda is the Capital Reserve Replacement Fund request. Board members, this is your tab number 2. Management recommends replacing a 7.5-ton HVAC unit located at the Cottonwood Ballroom with a trained 7.5-ton HVAC unit. The current unit is no longer functional. 3 bids were received. Alpine Air for $10,150. CCS Heating for $10,436. Parker and Sons for $11,536. Management recommends a low bid from Alpine Air for a total price of $10,150. May I have a motion for the board members in a second?
Second.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions or clarifications or comments in reference to this? Jim Miller, I have a question. You know, it was just last month that we approved another 7.5 ton. We understand that there's a difference in pricing, difference in the units, but can you explain for us?
Yes, what it is, Roger, some of the units are gas packs, which have heating capabilities, some are not, as well as fresh air intakes. And the difference in cost is to do with those 2 items on each individual unit. You can add or subtract them. You have to have fresh air intake to get fresh air into the building. So otherwise the unit struggles.
Yeah, I think if I remember, you had quite a few units on this, but I've heard.
8 units on this, 8 units just on, 8 7.5-ton units just on this room here.
Just this room.
This is room here, not including the wings that are on for the entrance to the foyer as well as the out here in the storage and bathrooms.
So it's not unusual we see 1 month.
I'm just letting it happen now instead of midsummer.
Summertime.
Yes.
Very good, Jim, for the explanation. Homeowners in the audience, do you have any questions in reference to this agenda item? Steve, have we received any emails in reference to this? No. There is a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is approved. Next is this is our tab number 3. Management recommends replacing the current ice machine at the Palo Verde Bar with a Manitowoc Model 1YF 0900N ice machine. The current ice machine requires major repairs. 3 bids were received. Fair refrigeration for $8,375. Webstaurant for $8,696. Southwest Restaurant Supply for $8,810. All suppliers offering 3-year warranties. Management recommends low bid from Fair Refrigeration for a total price of $8,375 with installation included. May I have a motion and a second to accept this recommendation from management? Board members, are there any comments or questions on this?
Is this on there? Roger, didn't we replace the ice machine in the past 2 or 3 years in there, or was that something else?
This ice machine has not been replaced. This ice machine was 11 years old. It's the oldest ice machine on property. This ice machine is the most expensive one on property because it is in the liquor room. It's a split unit, so the condenser's up on the roof for this unit. I have decreased the size of the machine because we do not need such a large machine in that space as well. So, but this machine is running strong, and it's time to replace it with some major repairs.
Is it completely dead?
It is, yeah, unfortunately, and yeah, as Jim said, we do have 9 ice machines on property between the maintenance yards and the restaurants.
Yeah, I believe the last one we replaced was at the Cottonwood Fellowship. So, food and beverage over there, but a different food and beverage. So there is a motion and a second on the floor. Any comments from the homeowners? Steve, have we received any emails reference to this? Motion and second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. Motion is approved. Next on there is the PV Gate Fund. There is none. The Cottonwood Fund Improvement Fund request, there are none. Voluntary Contribution Fund, there are none. Under old business, there are none. Now we're down to new business. Item A, tab of number 4, approve the communication committee's proposed committee members. May I have a motion and a second to accept this recommendation from the Communications Committee of adding Bill Carpenter and Richie O'Keefe to as committee members? Board, are any questions? Homeowners present, are there any questions or comments? There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is approved. Next one is our tab number 5. This is to approve the golf committee's proposed committee members of Diane French as the PV Ladies Association representative and Betty Buchanan as the Cottonwood Ladies Niners representative. May I have a motion and a second to accept this recommendation from the golf committee?
So moved.
Board, are there any questions or comments? Homeowners present, are there any questions or comments? There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those approved, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is approved. Next on the agenda, as I mentioned earlier, as we started this is an item that was moved from first reading to new business that Don made reference to. Tab number 6, Facilities and Grounds Committee recommends the board adopt the revised 2021 projects list as previously provided to the board members. If you ever, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Patty, today's agenda has that list stapled to it that's in the back there. So if you have today's agendas list, there is a copy of the 2021 projects list attached to it. Thank you for doing that. May I have a motion and a second to accept, or excuse me, to adopt this recommendation from the Facilities and Grounds Committee?
So moved.
Good. Board, I'm going to make a statement here because this is something that's coming up and the homeowners need to be alerted on this. There is a scheduled board workshop on April 16th for the purpose of explaining and discussing the priority ranking of the board adopted project list. Homeowners are invited to attend, ask questions, get clarifications, or make comments at this workshop. Homeowners in the audience, are there any questions in reference to this? Bob Miller? If you wait until the microphone gets there, please.
Bob Newer, homeowner. Will the workshop be televised or broadcast over YouTube like our board meetings?
You did say yes.
And so if, normally we have the workshops before the lists are adopted. So does that mean the projects are going to be adopted, period, and then there'll just be a little discussion afterwards, but they'll all be approved projects, correct, already?
Just a second, let's make sure you missed a word there.
Okay.
We will adopt these, we will accept them, okay? Where the homeowners really get input on this is at the F&G meetings that go on all year. This list has been worked on since about April, May of last year. This has been the result of that. We were shut down for quite a few months. At this meeting, doesn't mean because we have this list, does not mean all of these projects will be done. We are prioritizing them.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
And the facilities and grounds meetings, isn't the best place for homeowners to really learn about these, because
That's it.
there really aren't handouts on the projects at that time, and the discussion is between the members of the facilities and grounds committee. Homeowners can comment at the end, or if they bring up a subject relating to one of the topics, they can. It's not exactly like a workshop where we'll get to discuss the individual projects and perhaps see some preliminary drawings or concepts on them.
I don't think that you're gonna, I appreciate the comment there, and I appreciate what the homeowners are kind of seeing and everything, but the way the board works is through the committees, and all committees bring stuff to the board. The board doesn't do this. And it is, until we get the list, we can't hold a workshop, or we can't do anything. It must come from the committees at that time.
Yeah.
It would not matter whether it's food and beverage and Marshall's side or who it might have been. I understand what you're saying, and maybe we can take this under some sort of consideration, and maybe we can do something in the future and everything. Because I understand what you're saying about the homeowners' input during the year and not one or two times before.
Right. Because homeowners don't even know which projects are being
Yeah, I
considered by
understand.
facilities and grounds.
But
And it-
it is important for the homeowners to attend the committee meetings, you know, if they're concerned about this, okay? The other thing, I lost my train of thought there, Bob. I really had a good one too. I don't mean to make fun of you, because that's not correct and everything, but I really had a good thought. And when the board adopts or accepts, this year I'm using the word adopt, okay? When we adopt this list, we don't have necessarily drawings or anything of that nature. That is something that will be developed after the workshop if the board approves to move it through. And you must also, all homeowners must understand this. We're limited on the number of dollars that we can spend on capital improvement and there's a cap, kind of a cap space on some of capital reserve, not much, but so that's something that the board has to work through. We have to have those numbers before we can really tell the homeowners where we are at on it. And there's not going to be any drawings at the workshop.
And our current projects, like the replacing the sand at in the sand traps at the golf courses.
Management is working on those.
That was never the topic from, kind of where you got that, maybe some topic project, but replacing all the span. Never was approved.
Well, I remember a couple of presentations by Bill Todd.
Yeah, and they talked about it, but it was never approved. Right.
Okay. Well, that's a good point.
It is on. Okay, let me get back to where I was. Okay, just want to make sure that. Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is approved to adopt the project list. Did I go through that twice? I didn't think so. Now we're down to first readings. Let me quickly explain about first readings. This is where we put in the first reading an item that is suggested recommendation by going, you can view these by going to our website, Cottonwood Palo Verde website. Then select the homeowners only tab, then select the homeowners only access, then enter your password, and then scroll down and click on first readings under consideration. So we have here the Architectural Compliance Committee recommends the board update the ACC guidelines for garages, carports, and golf cart enclosures. This is on page 13, number 14, item E2. Bud previously explained this. Is there any other additional explanation that needs to be made?
No, that's what I explained when I read that, fully explained, I'm not having any other explanation on that.
Okay. There will be no vote on this. This goes in the first reading. Next on going into first reading is tab number 8. The Architectural Compliance Committee recommends the board update the ACC guidelines for garage doors. This is on page 18, number 21, item D. And again, Bud has explained this.
So that's the same thing where the garage doors now have to match the trim. This will change it so the garage doors do not have to match the trim. They can be painted a dark brown, and they don't have to match the trim. Any questions?
Next, we come down to homeowners' comments. This is the time that homeowners, oh, sorry, did I get one? I put it on the other piece of paper. Sorry. No. No, I didn't line through this one. The architectural plan, excuse me. The Architectural Compliance Committee recommends the board update board policy 10-01. This is on committees. This is our tab number 9. Bud made an explanation earlier. Bud, do you want to make another explanation or?
Well, no, I fully explained it. As far as the homeowners, I wish they would go online and read about this, but we want 3 years. Our committee wants 3 years because they feel that, I know it has changed policy, and I know the board policy says that it's only 2 years. Policies can be changed. And so anyway, I'm recommending the 3 years, or the board, the committee is recommending, I'm just going forward.
Just to clarify that board policy 10-01 asks for committees to serve a 2-year term. So anyway, they're just asking for a change to that board policy. Those are the items left in first reading. We are now down to homeowners' comments. For those listening at home, you can send in your emails in reference to comments or concerns that you have. Homeowners in attendance, is there some, if you would just let Marshall come to you, give him the microphone, state who you are.
Larry Chittister, in Palo Verde. I don't see it here, but when I read this on the internet, there was an item in there that said, they're moving funds from the Palo Verde Gate Fund to the general fund. And that caught my attention because it didn't seem like it was right.
Okay, I'm not sure that I understood you correctly.
That's at the end.
Steve, that's on the annual.
Correct.
What was that all about?
Remember, you have two different meetings, the board meeting and the next hour we'll have the annual meeting.
That item will come up there? Okay.
Newer homeowner, I believe it was yesterday morning at 4:45. Worker was on the grassy area behind the DV clubhouse, weed whacking, 4:45 in the morning, in the dark. As you know, a weed whacker is a device that makes enough noise that the person operating it needs to wear hearing protection. I think it's inconsiderate to be using a weed whacker at that time of the morning. I've never complained about the mowers out there, they're much quieter. That weed whacker was anything but quiet. Two-stroke motors, I had a guy run a little motorcycle out behind their house. And he was working in an area that he could have worked in the daytime. It wasn't even on the 9th hole. He was working where the sand trap is that was installed a couple of years ago, right up against the clubhouse. And not only seem to be inconsiderate, it just seems to be foolish to run the risk of alienating the homeowners doing a project that could have been done at a more civilized time of day.
Okay, let's make sure that I understand your question here. This happened at 4:35 in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. And it happened on the golf course?
Happened around the sand trap and
And the chipping area, sand trap and the 3-hole chipping area behind the EV clubhouse.
Okay. Scott, I'll just ask a question, if you can address that. Marshall, would you see if Scott can get the microphone there?
Okay.
Just give me some idea, this is normal course of business?
Yes, but to Bob's point, we can certainly be a little more considerate and make that change so we're not going to leave first thing in the morning by homeowners' houses for sure.
Okay.
I think it was just an opportunity, had an opportunity to get out and take care of some trimming around the clubhouse. First thing in the morning for play, and people got there when it gets busy. So he was trying to do it in consideration of the play that would be out there practicing or doing bunker shots and doing that and get that done before they got there so they would be out of the way. Obviously, we are interrupting and disturbing homeowners that are waiting to go, so we can certainly make that adjustment. That's not an issue at all.
And just to let everyone know that we are zoned agriculture, that's why we started pouring in the summer. They have to get all the work done very early on their heat of the day, so. I went on the golf course a year or two, I understand it, Scott will try to address it, but if you live on the golf course, you can look at it. And I realized that the first day I moved here, when they're not weedy, they were edgy, and it was like 4 o'clock or 4:15. So I know I live right on green, so understood.
What's necessary? That's my point.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I know the golf course people work very early, and it goes around the greenbelt areas too and everything. And they always try to be cognizant of the homeowners that are close by, but they also have a job that needs to get done because we're getting earlier in the morning and the golf course will open up earlier in the morning. So, we'll appreciate your comments, Paul. For those of you who are watching on live streaming and those in the audience today for the HOA board meeting, thank you, and I wish everyone to stay healthy. We will take a short break and have the annual meeting. This board meeting for the month of March is adjourned.